Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in today. We're preaching part 2 of living off the top of the barrel. What a blessing to God. You saw it last week, volume 1. Now this is volume 2. God wants to do amazing things in your life. He doesn't want you living at the bottom under pressure. He wants you living off the top. My God, I hope you can get this in your spirit, because he wants you to live here like you're going to live in heaven. His will be done where? On earth as it is in heaven. So let's go to Living Off the Top of the Barrel, Volume 2. Get a pencil and paper. Man, write down some notes, because it's time for you to get up, move on, and just be blessed by God. So write this down if you're taking notes. It is possible to have a full barrel and still be living off the bottom. This talking about living off the top of the barrel, part 2. It is possible to have a full barrel and still be living off of the bottom. I call it depression mentality. I never forget, years ago in a place called Zephyr Hills, Florida. Anybody know what Zephyr Hills, Florida is? I went and preached a meeting. And I never forget, and you know, I like old cars, classic cars and things of that nature. And a 1955 Royal Crown Victoria Ford. Good God Almighty, it just get me excited when I think about it. And it was kind of like this shirt and this tie, hot pink. Oh, gee, that was a beautiful car with cream. You know, oh, that was a gorgeous car. And this old lady just gets out. And it looked like it was bought yesterday. I thought, man, I wonder who restored that car for her. But anyway, she just comes in, and she was kind of, she had a little cane and everything. She was a little sweet lady, you know, and she walks up to my tapes. Now, that's when we had tapes. We didn't have CDs and DVDs. And the tapes cost $2. Okay? All right. She comes in and she says, oh, I love your ministry. I'd like to have some of these tapes, but oh, they're so expensive. I felt so bad. I said, oh, geez, I would like to bless this sweet little lady. So I said, well, let me give you some. I said, what would you like? Oh, would you do that for me? Oh, I just can't thank you enough. So I'm picking some things, and the daughter walks in. She says, Mama, what you doing? She said, Bud, Jesse is giving me some tape. She said, Mama, you got $49 million in liquid cash in a bank, plus all kind of property. But she said this, yeah, but you never know how long it's going to last. Well, it's going to last longer than that old crazy woman. I want to take back my tapes. Just slap her a little bit. Glory to God. That was the original car. That was her car. She had bought that in 1955. That was 1982. I mean, I think it had something like 7,000 miles on it. You see, now she had the top of the barrel experience, but she was living on the bottom. In 1968, I was a bank teller at Terrebonne Bank and Trust in Houma, Louisiana. I had a job for about 3 months. And a little lady come up to me, and this is when you had a passbook savings account. Remember that? You had was it 5%? I think they paid you 5% passbook. She says, oh, I hate to withdraw some money out of my account, but I gotta buy some things. Young man, can you give me $50 out of my account? I said, yes, ma'am. So I take it like this. And when I opened up the passbook, I thought, she said, ooh, I just hate to spend the $50, Lord. And when I opened it up, there was $12,680,000 in the passbook. And I went, ma'am, what are you worried about? $50. Same thing. You never know how long it's going to last. She was living in a houseboat with no electricity. Now the top of the barrel's full. But what causes them then? Their money has become their security and their God. Write this down. Beware that money does not become your security and your God. See, that's called the love of money. Money's not a bad thing. It's when you fall in love with it and make it prime, the most prime thing in your life. This is the only thing can save you. So it is possible to have a full barrel and still be living off of the bottom. Write this down. Self-control is required at every moment along the whole range of our habits. Self-control is required at every moment along the whole range of our habits and through the whole course of our life. There's something called self-control. Why do you lose weight? It's not because you're eating less. It's because you have now took control of yourself. And it's an automatic. It's just that simple. How do you get out of debt? Let me help you. Self-control. So let me say it again. Self-control is required at every moment along the whole range of our habits and through the whole course of our life. You see what I'm saying? So even today, even though I am living off the top of the barrel, I exercise daily, not just Sunday, self-control. Without sounding prideful or arrogant, I can go buy anything I want right now. Anything. I don't mean, that's not an overstatement. Anything I want. I just don't happen to want anything. Amen. Now you say, well, that must be a good position to be in. It is. It's wonderful. But write this down. You should never be defined by the money you have. You should be defined by the character you have. See, if you don't have character, you become a character. You see what I'm saying? You should not be defined by the money you have. You should be defined by the character you have. It's okay to live, drive something nice, fly something nice, I don't know, live in something nice, wear something nice, whatever you like. But it's when you begin to define yourself. And after a while, people begin to realize, we say it in Cajun, you think yourself. Remember that? That's that man, he think himself. All of a sudden, you're looking down at people. When you should never look down, you should look even. Because God created us all equal, including the Constitution of the United States, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Isn't that something? And yet, I'm surprised that we had slavery when we had our Constitution saying the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. You see, that's living off the top of the barrel. You got power, but actually you're on the bottom, even though you have the possessions and all to operate and function on the top. So self-control is required at every moment along the whole range of our habits and through the whole course of our life. Now write this down. Beware of getting used to living under pressure. Bottom feeders think that is normal. Beware of getting used to living under pressure. Notice the deeper you go in the water, the heavier the pressure is. And remember this now. You can't breathe when you're on the bottom. You can only just hold your breath so long. You breathe only at the top. You understand? Why? Because you're a person that breathes air. I'll never forget when I met Kathy, I was a lifeguard. And one of the tests it was to get your lifeguard certificate was when you got to the top of it, well, not just learning to be an intermediate, but I mean when you could be physically licensed as a lifeguard, we had a 12-foot diving pool. Okay, it was at Legion Park swimming pools. It was a 12-foot pool. All you did was dive in this pool. So what they would do is they would turn you around like this. The pool would be back here where the platform is. So I would be this way. They would take a brick and they would wrap it up in a blue towel because everything in that pool was blue. And they'd throw it into that pool and let it sink and wait till the water kind of stopped. And then you had 30 seconds to find that brick. 30 seconds. If you couldn't find that brick, you didn't get that license. Because see, in 30 seconds, somebody can die on you. And I remember they'd say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom, I dove up and you got to look. And so how do you find something that fades into the atmosphere or into the surroundings? You look for what's out of line. If you want to know you're a bottom feeder, I can tell immediately, I can look at you and you could be perfectly camouflaged, but there will be something out of line. For example, if you're a hunter, you can be full. I mean, the woods are full, but all of a sudden you might see an ear. You can't see the deer. Just something out of line. Whew. And if you're on a horse, listen to your horse because he knows where the deer is. Why? Because he's an animal. Watch his ears. I promise you, buddy, when he does this, you start looking, you're going to find something. Isn't that amazing? People taught me to hunt that way because we'd go up in the Colorado mountains up 10,000 feet and I'd go, man, I can't see nothing. And Jerry, who's now in heaven, he'd say, Jesse, watch your horse. Look at your horse. Man, I just look at that horse and that horse would go, and one ear. Oh, baby, come on, just move. All of a sudden, maybe this much of a ear that looked like a leaf. See, a leaf will do this. A leaf don't go. You see what I'm saying? And then you're going to come home with some meat. or with a trophy, whatever you're hunting. So beware of getting used to living under pressure. Bottom feeders thinks that's normal. See, that's why they adopt poverty. It's become normal to hold your breath for life. It's become normal to be stooped over and pressurized. It's become normal, especially in South Louisiana. Well, you know, we live in hurricane country. Look like we ain't had one in a while. Well, why don't all of them go to your house if you like them that much? See, I watched the Weather Channel today. They said, there's something in the Caribbean. They call it invest. I ain't investing in that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you see how sly that is? Invest 97-L. I ain't investing in that. Yo, stay close, keep watching this because it could. Even though they just told you 3 minutes that the whole Gulf is full of dry air. We got fronts coming down. But you know, see, they're trying to pull you in. Invest. Yo, mama ain't investing in nothing, especially in a hurricane. Why would you call in something you don't want? And yet people do it every day. See, when you're living off the top of the barrel, you don't invest in the bottom. In fact, if you're going to drill in the bottom, you act the top when you start drilling. You still stay on the top. Let's call it, you know, an offshore deep water well. You know, you're up at the top. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't invest in those things. So beware of getting used to living under pressure. Bottom feeders think that it's normal. Now write this down. We must be masters of ourselves, of all our appetites, and of all our desires. You have to be a master of yourself. If you can't master yourself, you cannot master anything in life. Do you understand that? You have great power in your life. You have the ability to say yes and the ability to say no in every area of your life. Now, I'm just teaching you this morning. I could get really screaming loud, preaching, you'd be shouting, but I want you to learn something. How many of y'all want to live off the top of the barrel? Amen. I think it's time. You certainly deserve it. Amen. You certainly deserve it. My God, man. You see, but you got to master yourself. And the hardest person to master is not the person you think is coming up against you, is yourself. See, what do you believe about yourself? See, let me just say this without sounding prideful or arrogant. I know what I can do. But you see, that's not enough. I got to stretch to see what new horizon I can reach. What new thing or new area that I could possess. You see what I'm saying? Because you got to be careful. After once you've been blessed in the city, blessed in the field, blessed going in, blessed going out, then you want to sit down and let angels drop grapes in your mouth. No, because you see, there's a generation coming after you that you ought to be helping, so they won't have to work as hard as you do, and then they're going to produce for the next generation. Because every person's work must be a continuation. Do you understand what I'm saying? See, when you're a bottom feeder, you become a crab, a scavenger, and a buzzard. You'd rather feed below than rise above. Yeah, you see, and if you notice something, all these bottom feeders, they just eat the bad trash of the world. A top feeder must be dominant in spirit, who holds his flesh in habitual and iron control. Holds his flesh in habitual and iron control. He will not allow his flesh to rise. A top feeder must be dominant in spirit. You see what I'm saying? And, so you can get it again, who holds his flesh in habitual and iron control. What does that mean? As you begin to ascend, when you start getting off the bottom, he said, I want to become a top of the barrel person. Watch this now. And I want you to write this down because I'm going to put these 2 points together. When you start to rise to a top feeder, you must be aware not to go up too quickly or you'll blow up. See, because you've been in a different environment for many, many years. So that's what I mean by being in a dominant spirit. So you can habitually controlling yourself. Habit forming. Because if you rise too quickly, money will control you. You will look down on people. You won't want to associate with people who were friends with you. Think about that. Watch this. You'll get to a point where your nose gets hot. And then now you're buying things to impress somebody.
All right, Doc.
And you're walking in a braggadocious, if that's the right word, I'll just use it, calling it in a braggadocious spirit. I have a friend of mine, he says this all the time. Let me tell you something about Jesse Duplantis. I'll tell you who it is, Happy Caldwell, and Agape Fellowship in Little Rock, Arkansas. He said, you would never know that man's wealthy unless you look at his jewelry. He said, Jesse, and I don't mean that privately, but you see what happens is as I begin to rise, spiritually, physically, and financially, I realized that as I rose higher, it didn't make me better. It just let me live in a different environment. I mean, my skin didn't turn to gold. You know, all of a sudden, I didn't become a multifaceted diamond, so you could just, ooh. No, actually, what I did is kept my eyes not on the bottom, but on the God that caused me to rise. You see what I'm saying? So when you start to rise to a top feeder, you must be aware of not going up too quickly or you will blow up. Now, how many of y'all, and I want you to, don't lift your hand if you're not going to do this, you're going to start believing now for more than enough finances. It's called financial free worry zone. Now watch this. Finances are the fuel you burn in an economics world. You should have money. And you ain't hearing a preacher say that. People are going to be mad at me. You should have money. Why? You're married, you need to take care of your family. Takes money to do that. Takes money to eat. Takes money to buy clothes and things of that nature. You understand what I'm saying? So finances is the fuel that you burn in an economic society. As I said earlier, finances is the fuel that you burn in the economic world. We need finances to operate and function in this world. But you have to beware that your money does not become your security or your God. Some people, it becomes that, oh God, you know, they think, if I got that, I got it made. No, you have to learn to control yourself. It's called, not control others, control yourself. It's called self-control. And remember, you should never be defined by the money you have. Money don't make you who you are. You should be defined, and listen to this, you should be defined by the character you have. And if you don't have character, guess what? You become a character. Am I correct in saying that? I mean that sincerely. Remember this, money's not a bad thing because you live in an economic world, but if you fall in love with it or it becomes your God, then it's wrong. It's wrong because God will have no other gods before him. And that includes your finances. You know, we receive prayer requests every day. Here's one from Susan. Now, Susan, I'm going to ask you. She writes this, Brother Jesse, I love the theme God gave you for this year. Great expectation gets great results. This year, I made up my mind to start my own woman's ministry. I'm expecting God for the finance I need to make this happen. Now, watch this, Susan. Watch how you change. But I keep running into roadblocks. I feel like my faith is not working. Uh-oh, Susan, you're asking me to pray for you, and you're telling me your faith's not working. What are you doing, Susan? Can you pray for me? Yes, I can do that. Then you say this, Susan, I'm growing weary when the Bible said, let us not be weary in well-doing. You see, the time frame of your ministry belongs to God, Susan, and not you. So, my God, just tell people I'm starting a woman's ministry and God is going to help me. So, but don't say I'm getting weary and my faith's not working. You see what's defeating you, Susan? I'm just going to be honest with you. It's not your faith. It's an abundance of time. Quit looking at the time and know in whom you have believed and be persuaded that he's able to keep what you commit to him. So you understand that? Father, touch Susan right now. Bless her in the city, in the field, going out. All she wants to do is be a blessing to you. So, Father, let what comes out of her mouth, let it be only the word of God. Not what she sees, but what's in the word. In Jesus' name. Susan, I prayed for you, and I'm telling you, things are going to get better. I'm just believing that with you. The Bible said 2 of us agree. So you one, Susan, and I'm 2. Did you see what I was saying that to all the other people watching? See, you got to watch what you say. Only say what this says. Whew, I'm preaching again here. We're so excited about our vision for 2020. Great expectations gets great results. So many of you have caught the vision, and you've been standing, and we've been standing with you to get the results you're believing for. I do that. We're excited. I'm so excited right now, I can't hardly help myself. We're excited about the results you're seeing in your life. Tell us your great expectation for 2020. And if you're getting great results, we want to know about it. Just go to JDM.org and select Contact Us to do that. And I'm going to rejoice with you and believe with you. Thank you, partners, for all that you do for this ministry. Without your faithful financial support, we couldn't do what we do. You know, I used to think, Lord, if you just bless me enough, I'll just take care of it all. No, no. You know, the Lord said, Jesse, I came to earth and I picked 12 disciples. Then I picked 70 part-time. Think about that for a minute. I hope you're coming to my 2020 Visionary Conference. It's this Thursday, March the 26th at 7 p.m., and then Friday morning, March the 27th at 10 a.m., and then Friday night at 7 p.m. Registration and admission are free, so go to JDM.org to register today. Now, I want to talk to you about that. Notice that we don't charge registration. Why is that? Let me tell you why. Because we believe what we preach, and I'm going to say something that may sound arrogant. We get what we preach. You can't have what you preach against. Do you see what I'm saying? We make up our mind to live off the top of the barrel. We make up our mind that I don't care what the world's doing. I'm not functioning in the world. I'm in the world, but I'm not of it. Whew. Now, if you're not able to come to this visionary conference, you watch it, or what they call it, live webcast at JDM.org or JDM Facebook page. It's going to be an amazing time. I'm telling you. Now, don't go anywhere. Kathy's coming right now with some glorious moments, but we want to show you a few things before she comes, and then Kathy's going to take it away. We love this segment, Glorious Moments. I want you to watch this, and you will be blessed. Take it away, Kathy. God will promise you things when you get to the place of where your vision is.
Jesse Duplantis' 2020 Visionary Conference.
Vision always surrounds God.
March 26th and 27th.
God is going to cause you to complete your destiny and reach your destination. And you won't find that until you understand the vision that God has given you.
Jesse Duplantis' 2020 Visionary Conference at JDM International Headquarters.
Hello, I love our theme for this year. Great expectation gets great results. It reminds me that God has our best interests at heart. And as his son Jesus said in Mark 9:23, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. You know, belief is the currency of God. And like this partner from Oklahoma discovered, it's what God has chosen to be the vehicle for our results. My husband and I live debt-free and are faithful tithers and monthly supporters of Jesse Duplantis Ministries. Since our marriage, we have consistently planted seed and confessed and believed the Word of God for financial increase. As a result, I received a full-time executive position making twice as much as I've ever earned before, close to 6 figures, without a college degree. In addition, my daughter was hired, making $10,000 more per year than any previous position. Her husband was offered a position in his field, making more than he's ever earned, plus health benefits, paid vacation, continued education, a pension, 401k, and the promise of consistent raises over the next 10+ years. My daughter and son-in-law were also blessed with an apartment, a new vehicle, and childcare for their 2-year-old. Only God could provide such a miraculous chain of events in less than 6 months' time. We can't express how grateful we are to God for the teachings we have received from Jesse Duplantis Ministries. Your ministry has helped us grow in God's wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and in his amazing unmerited favor. Thank you. I love that. Wow, you know, it's such a great result, and they're living on the top of the barrel because of the power of belief. It's a force called faith, and it begins with having great expectations. God bless you.
Why owe when you can own?
To go from owing to owning, you must have the strength of assertiveness. It's very possible that God will bless you so much that you can live as long as you want without financial stress. It's about time we be called the owners instead of the owers.
Going from owing to owning. Order your copy today. Visit JDM.org for more information.
Ladies and gentlemen, for over 44 years, we've been obeying the call. I mean, obeying that call to preach the gospel to the whole world. As I mentioned, we are geared up for power-packed meetings at my 2020 Visionary Conference this week. Buddy, I don't care where you live, you need to get here. Power of God's going to flow. I'm telling you, Jesus is going to do some great things. I mean that. I'm not just telling you to come to a meeting. I'm telling you, God's going to show up and show out like I said last week. After that, then I'm off to Blakely, Pennsylvania to preach at Peckville Assembly of God. Then I'm headed to Conroe, Texas for the Ignite, I like that, Ignite Conroe Conference at Change Point Church. Next, I'll be preaching in Huntington, West Virginia at Christ Temple Church. Then I go to Kerrville, Texas at Calvary Temple Church. Then New York City, New York at Faith Church. Don't you think I'm busy? Good Lord. You can find out more information about my preaching schedule at JDM.org. Partners, thank you. I couldn't do all these meetings without your faithful financial support. 100% of what you give goes in the world evangelism. Isn't that amazing? We've been debt-free so long, we don't even know what debt is. Been debt-free since 1982. Me, personally, the ministry, everything. Glory to God. What a blessing of God. And you can too. And I mean that sincerely. Also, for your March partnership, you can get Living Off the Top of the Barrel, Volume 1. Let me make sure. Volume 1. So go to JDM.org for all the information. I'm telling you, man, you need to get this thing. Because, you see, due to time constraints on television, we can't play it all. I wish we could. I'd have to have 24 hours a day. Well, maybe one day I ought to build my own network. What you think? I don't know. Praise God. You know, I really thought many years ago, I said, you know, as I grow older, I said, you know, and I feel good. My daughter said, Dad, you got more energy than anybody ever seen in my life. You outrun us all here. And I said, well, I don't know. I don't know if I do it like that. I just do what the Lord tells me to do. See, ladies and gentlemen, I'm full of joy. That's living off the top of the barrel. I enjoy being saved. Can't you tell? Whoo, Lord Jesus. I love giving to God, and I want to thank my partners for giving to this ministry. My God, you help us so much. And let me say it again, 100% goes on the world evangelism because we debt-free. Think about that. So don't miss next week's show, okay? This is Jesse Duplantis from New Orleans, Louisiana, saying, I love you, I really do. You have a glorious week. I'll be praying for you every day.
Total JDM is a partner benefit for partners with an automatic recurring monthly donation of $20 or more. This benefit grants you continued access to over 200 life-changing messages anytime, anywhere. You can enjoy classic messages from Jesse's early days of ministry, as well as a variety of current messages by both Jesse and Kathy. Experience how easy it is to find messages that cover any of your ministry needs by simply searching our extensive library, using keywords, or browsing through our preset categories. It's our mission to help you grow your relationship with Jesus daily and to teach you how to live the overcoming life of faith in every way. All of this can be yours with an automatic recurring monthly donation of $20 or more. Go to TotalJDM.org and sign up today.
There is something wrong if we sow much in prayer and bring in little reward. In other words, you got this conversation going on, you're praying a lot, but the reward or what the answer to that prayer is not coming forth at the time frame that you need it. See, you have to tell God that when you're praying, especially concerning needs, if that need is time sensitive.